President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says his government is very much concerned about the impact or perception of corruption on the image of Ghana and his plans and programs for the country. The latest Corruption Perception Index released in February this year by the local chapter of Transparency International, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, scored Ghana 40 out of a possible clean score of some 100 and ranked the country 81 out of 180 countries assessed. The index also shows that Ghana's performance dropped by 3 points from its 2016 score of some 43 and 7 points cumulatively from the 2015 score of 47. The president met civil society groups in a closed-door session to look at the report and also strategize on how Ghana can improve its ranking. Here is National Security Minister Kandapa.
This year, I'm told, ranked 185 countries, 180 countries and territories, and Ghana placed 81. Mr. President, the index is the assessment or the perception by the public of the extent of public sector corruption in the country. We were ranked 81, certainly not the best, and we believe in government that we should have had a bigger or a higher score. We don't challenge the authenticity of the results, but we thought we should meet and discuss and see how we got ranked at that level, whether we can offer some explanations when we know what went into determining this particular ranking. So certainly not an attempt to say that we don't agree with the ranking or that we did a shoddy work. We just want to have a better understanding of how this has come about and how we can probably perform better and probably see whether after our discussions we may feel inclined to revise your figures and get a better ranking.
And the president says he is very concerned about the report and is working to change the perception.
Today we've come to speak about this one topic, a matter of concern to all of us. I think everybody in Ghana should be concerned, not only about the reality, but also about the perception of the fight against corruption in our country. Because in many ways, the perception is as significant as the reality. So it's good that we have an opportunity to interact with you. We're working in these areas and have your input as to how best the public authorities can forge their weapons in the fight against corruption.
Some farmers who benefited from government Planting for Food and Jobs program are blaming unpredictable weather and post-harvest losses for shortfalls in their harvest. Even though government supplied seeds and fertilizer for the project, which largely increased yields, storage facilities were not provided in many beneficiary districts, leaving farmers with outmoded storage methods that were not beneficial. From the northern regional town of Bolni, here's a report by Justice Baidu.
These villagers have come together to help each other store food from their recent harvest. For ages, this traditional means of storing grains and tubers is all the people of Bolni have known. Injerebe Mohari was expecting 20 bags of millet from his 4-acre farm. Like his friends, he was one of the farmers who benefited from the government's Planting for Food and Jobs program. He had seeds and fertilizers, which meant a relative improvement in his harvest this year. But the rains didn't come in as expected in the last farming season, so he had just 10. For him, his 3 wives and 15 children. That is bad news.
It's painful to see your harvest go bad, knowing that you have to pay fees for your children, and yet because there are no roads to send your food to the market, markets to sell, or a place to store, they have to go waste or get eaten by animals.
So,
This is one of Ghana's largest food producing regions, noted for the growth of yams, maize, and millet. And yet, post-harvest losses, unpredictable weather, and a lack of market means farmers here get very little in return, and the result is poverty and even malnutrition.
Because there's poverty here, we have to take these foods like that. It's not as if we don't know our children need nutritious food. But because of poverty, even if we produce the food, we cannot feed our kids well.
If a farmer will have close to 47% of his produce going waste, what's the essence? The higher you produce, the more likely you have a very high post-harvest loss. That makes farming unprofitable. Who in this country or in this world would like to do a business that you already know that you will not break even? Nobody. So for us to have farming as a business, we also need to ensure that the high losses will be reduced.
About half of all food produced in Ghana do not get to the final consumer because of losses after harvest, costing the nation in excess of 700,000 cedis yearly, according to a recent World Bank study. In Bolni, like many other parts of Ghana, population levels are outstripping the volume of food available. That may spell doom if change doesn't happen soon. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Bolni.
Some persons with disabilities at Bolga in the Upper West region have been given training in business management. The training was part of efforts by the Department of Social Welfare and the Municipal Assembly to empower physically challenged persons in the Bolga-Tanga municipality. Upper East Region correspondent Albert Sorry has more. We'll make sure to bring you Albert Sorry's story later, but let's move on. Officials of the Ghana Health Service are blaming deaths of patients, especially in emergency situations, on challenges they face in the sector. According to a public health nurse, Margarita Chandi, patients who visit hospitals must first undergo triage to ascertain the severity of their illnesses and also attend to them.
When patients are sent to the hospitals in emergency, we have a situation where we call triage. First of all, a nurse must assess the patient and grade the patient, whether the patient needs to be attended to within 30 minutes, 1 hour or so. So maybe in the process of that, things were not explained to the client or the relatives. I wasn't there, so I can't add much. But I think it's one of those things that went wrong.
A 9-week-old baby boy has died at the St. Gregory Hospital at Kaswa in the Central Region because his parents could not afford 533 Ghana cedis for oxygen. Well, his parents told Joy News a medical doctor on duty pulled the plug from the oxygen machine because they could not pay to keep their son alive. The hospital currently is tight-lipped on the subject, explaining they are investigating the circumstances that led to the death of the boy. Jojo Kobna now reports.
Prosper's father, Kennedy Kwao, explaining why they chose to give that name to their son. But that blessing has been cut short. Prosper was born on January 19, 2018. His mother, Sefa Ako, said her child became ill and was sent to the hospital on 5th March, but died 3 weeks later.
Baby is sick on Thursday Thursday evening. Thursday evening, Friday morning, I took him to hospital. He's not breathing well. Admitted. They give him blood. So the doctor say they will transfer us to Kolebu on Monday, but the bill they give us is 533 before we move to Kolebu.
Sefako tells me she was looking forward to her son's quick recovery, but that never happened. He died after doctors at the hospital pulled the plug on the oxygen machine Prosper's life depended on.
When I call my husband, I won't get him. His phone is switched off. So that Saturday, the doctor came. He said, I hear from my husband. I say I didn't hear. So he removed the oxygen. That Saturday, he removed the oxygen. Even at 6 o'clock, the baby is not breathing well. I'm crying. The nurse come and put the oxygen, so it's too late.
Sefako said, although she had 2 other children, the memory of losing her son because of money is painful.
It's difficult for me, but I feel bad. So bad because of money. That is why. If I have money, can't go like that. But I didn't have money. That is why. Ninja want to put the baby on the mortuary, but me, I refuse.
Why?
Because I feel I lost the baby. When they put in the mortuary, I'll come and pay before I'll collect the baby. That is why I refuse him to put on the mortuary fund.
Kennedy Kwao says he tried to engage his employers to advance him a loan to cover the bill, but the money came too late.
I was outside Accra when I made a phone call back home and learned my son had died. My wife could not reach me because of bad mobile phone reception. In fact, I was broke. I had only 20 cedis on me.
Administrators of St. Gregory Hospital, where the incident occurred, have declined comment on the matter, explaining the Central Regional Health Directorate is investigating the issue. Jojo Kobna, JoyNews.
Oh, we'll bring you a lot more on this story, but let's move on to crime. And the Ghana Police Service is leaving no stone unturned in the fight against armed robbery and other crime-related activities. The latest measure to curb crime is the introduction of a motorbike patrol team. 59 officers drawn from across various regions constitute the team, which passed out on Tuesday at the Ghana Police Service Training School here in Accra. The Inspector General of Police, David Asantia Pietu, who inaugurated the motorbike patrol team, said the Ghana Police Service will ultimately deal with all criminals ruthlessly. There's more in this report.
The first batch of motorbike patrol team was taken through physical endurance as part of the training to prepare them for any crime. They were also trained on weapon handling while on the bike, handcuffing aggressive and submissive suspect, vehicle and suspect search. They were taken through an intense defense training by the counter-terrorism unit to fight crime. The team, made up of 59 officers, displayed how they will handle a car snatching incident at gunpoint.
The second part of the display, the motorbike display, is a scenario enacted by these gallant men where a car has... So first team has been dispatched to block the car that has been snatched by these robbers. They are fully armed, and we have a backup. We have others on board, led by their leader, and they are fully armed. So we see how the motor riders to disarm these robbers and arrest them for them to face the full rigors of the law.
The IGP warned criminals who use motorbikes to perpetrate their activities will not be spared. He assured more measures will be rolled out in the coming days to curb crime trends.
Let me sound a word of warning to criminal elements in our society, especially those who are in the habit of using motorbikes to commit crimes. A few of you cannot take all of us hostage. This new squad, supported by other operation teams, are poised and will not be kind with you when you are caught in the act. The advent of the usage of motorbikes in perpetuating violent crime pushed the police administration to create this special squad who are trained with the capacity to respond adequately and bring to book such social miscreants who think they can be smarter on motorbikes. This is the first batch and many more are being screened to beef up. The intention of the police administration is to replicate this squad in all the 11 police regions. The police administration has taken a serious view of reckless attacks on police officers as well as properties of the state by some criminal elements. The police administration will ruthlessly deal with those miscreants, and I use this forum to severely caution them. Times are changing, and the police role in expanding and demands more innovations, more resources, and a better social support by all of us, as security is indeed a shared responsibility.
Well, I guess the criminals will also be aware that the police service and their personnel are coming for them. But that'll be it for the latest news headlines we have. We'll be looking at the headlines on the front and back pages of the various newspapers. We have a couple of them in the studio. Then we'll look at myjournline.com and the other news portals we'll be taking a look at. We'll look at City Newsroom, the Africa page of the BBC and a couple of others. Do stay on. We'll have a lot more for you on the show.